But how many ones? That was because it was correctly plugged in.
Okay, so hopefully everybody got a drive. We'll start in about a minute. So make sure that we plug your drive in. All you have to do is go to the CIS27 Cali, right? For the 2022. Then you're gonna double click the OVA file. It should launch VirtualBox, and then it will automatically get that imported in. Okay. Okay, so if you have your drive, you just navigate to your CIS27 Cali 2022 folder, and then you're gonna see the orange icon. You just double click that, and it should extract and be able to open up your VirtualBox like this. And then you're gonna click import, okay? Because the import button doesn't automatically get added on some of the versions for the VBox at the top. So just double click the OVA file in the folder, which is the orange icon, like this one, okay? And then you should be able to have this pop up. It should launch your VBox. And then you're just gonna go ahead and click import. That takes a minute for it to go. So open up double click your OVA file in the folder for CIS27 Cali. Go ahead and grab the drive. So we simply double click the OVA file in the folder, and then it should ask you for VBox. We are going to use VirtualBox, because if you don't find the import button at the top, depending on the version of VirtualBox you're using, so it's going to prompt you this, and then you simply just going to go ahead and import. What that does is it's going to unpack the file, which is the compressed file OVA, and it's going to put it into the local machine on the C drive. And so when the next time you open it, if your computer doesn't get wiped, it's always going to go back to the C drive, not the OVA file, right? That's where it's going to keep your status, is on the C drive under virtual machine folder. Okay. All right. So once you have double click the OVA file, you have to accept. So click agree, and it's going to take a minute for it to unpack. So you will be back to where you have your Cali a few weeks ago. So while it's doing that, I'm going to talk about Tor. Tor, some of you are familiar with BitTorrent, which is a browser-based file sharing community, right? They use the browser to be able to allow you to navigate to different things that you can download or access. Hi, go ahead and grab a drive, and then we'll get started. So today you are going to use Tor, which is the onion router in Cali. You can run onion router in any platform. It's more friendly with the Linux, and we're using Debian Linux. So there are different Linux releases. So just to give you a little bit of information here, Tor is great for if you want to surf anonymously. It tunnel and encrypt at multiple levels. So it's better than VPN. Okay, so when you're using Tor, basically you're connecting to these existing circuits that passes your traffic, and every time that it passes, it encrypts your traffic. So it is harder to detect. So in the case where if we need to surf the web anonymously, we can use the Tor. On Android mobile platform, there is an app that you can install if you're interested in that, but anything with encryption is going to be a little slower than what you normally see in regular traffic. Now, it's going to give you more privacy. So Tor stands for the onion router, and like the onion, it has many layers. So what happens is when you're connecting in the Tor environment, So here you are, right? Whether you're using the service or the service with the browser, you're connecting to these nodes. And the first node that you're going to connect is called the entry node. What that does is it's going to accumulate a randomly generated list of all the other nodes, right? So similar to a peer-to-peer environment, but these are the relays that they had set up all over the world, right? If you ever visit the site, the Tor project site, and you click on the map option, it actually maps out existing relays. These are very expensive to maintain. There are people who volunteer to do these projects for free. And so when you start, you're going to connect to what's called the entry node. And what that does is it's going to look at everybody that's available and it randomly generate a list of other nodes, okay, that it's going to give back to the client. Then the client system, which is your computer, it's going to randomly select various. So you will never have the same route multiple times. And every layer, like the onion, it's encrypted. So when the entry node passes it to the next one on the list, it does the encryption. So the entry node can only see you as a client and it sees the next node. No other node can see the entire route. And that's what's great about the onion router is that somebody, if they want to sniff out your traffic using Wireshark or a tool, they won't be able to see from the source to the destination. It's only going to show the destination as the next node or the next relay. And you can change it every time. So in the lab, I wrote in the steps on how you can change. Yeah, you can switch up and you can funnel the traffic a certain way. So you can delegate that. So at the end, it's going to get to what's called the exit node, which is another relay. That's the end of your route, right? And this node, what it does is it decrypts, right? Whatever that's passed to it using the key that's generated publicly by the client. It uses a key pair technology. So when you encrypt with the public key, you would decrypt with the private key. If you encrypt with the private key, you would decrypt with the public key. So in our case, when we encrypt with the private key to start, we generate a public key that we can pass, but only the exit node will have that. None of the others will, okay? So this guy right here has your key, and what it does is it's gonna only see, right, the node before it and the destination, which is your .onion website. It shows a .com here, but when you're using the Onion network, all their sites are registered as .onion, okay? Now, there are other entities, as you see in the listing on my notes. So you can visit something similar to a Facebook, but on the dark web through the Onion network. And all of these DNSs are registered on a separate list. This is an area that you don't normally see with Google Chrome, right? With your regular browser. Okay, any question on this? Okay, so we know that all of these servers, the web servers is connected to a DNS, domain name service. That's how it's gonna pin your URL to an IP that's tied to a host, an actual physical server. So whenever that you visit a regular site or an Onion site, they're registered to a DNS. So once you have your VBox going, right? Let's start. You're gonna log in. Cali is the default user account. I have to bring this laptop because my other laptop is a little slower, right? And we are gonna, go ahead and grab a drive. We're gonna use the GNU Kali Linux, and it's gonna load your Kali. Okay, this is the one that I downloaded from the website. So we are gonna log in. And if you just got here, just double click the OVA file in the CIS27 Kali folder. and then it's gonna load your virtual box, click import, accept, and it's click start. Okay, so one of the things that, yes.
File that we're supposed to open is the Kali Linux file.
Yeah, when you open CIS27 Cali 2022, there's an orange box icon. It's the OVA file. You're gonna double click that. Okay, so a lot of the students struggle with copy and pasting between the VM and the actual host machine. So what I did was I wrote down the step for you to be able to do that. So after your machine is loaded up, you can change the configuration so you can copy and paste in between in the case where you can't type, right? Some of you struggle with the syntax I saw last time. So what you need to do is on your Kali, you are going to click devices and you are going to go to share clipboard. Make sure that you select bidirectional. That means that we can copy from our Windows system and paste it inside the machine, and we can copy from the machine and paste it on the outside, because if you don't have that, you cannot copy and paste in between. So in the case where you can't type something because it's really long, it's confusing, copy and paste it in, okay? So that way you have it. So it's an easy setting, okay? So what I did there was this step number 4, and you can do that during the time that you use it, right? Enable that as long as your machine is up and running. Okay, everything that we start with Linux, when you open up your terminal, which is the rectangular box here, you always want to start with an update. As we are logged on as a regular user, you are going to do a sudo apt update. Oh, sorry. You have to input the password for it to go. Kali is the password. Username is Kali. Okay. So everybody got that? Okay, so where am I at here? I'm at step 7. Now you're gonna see a ton of different instructions on how to install Tor. Okay, the new version of Kali is sweet and simple. There are a lot of people who wrote stuff for developer. So I included some of that here for you, because in the case where if you need to write the script to work with Tor, with Python, you know how almost 90% of the tools that you see for security is written in Python, because Python is just a very friendly language to use. It works cross-platform. It's a beautiful language. So this is why you see that we are going to run some scripts in Python today. Okay, so after you have run your updates, right, it's going to finish. Then what you're going to do next, let me drag this over here. And then you are going, every time that you install new software, you have to update it to 10. And that's the thing with Linux, is sometimes, right, the software goes in and it needs other packages. So you are going to do a sudo apt install Tor. Okay. Now, this is only the service that you're installing. So in order to use the browser, you have to have the Tor service. The browser is a way that we interface with the system for that service. Okay. So it's going to say, you sure you want to continue? We are going to press yes, and it's going to go again, right? So it's going to take about a minute for it to go, depending on how fast or slow your connection in your system is. Okay. So once we have installed the Tor, we're going to try to update again, because you will find later on that when we're using something else and it's going to be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, we have to do the update. So sudo apt update, and it's going to update for a second. It's not going to be very long after the initial update. Okay. It's only going to take whatever that you just added and see what's new, right? And it uses the Git environment. So that's what's nice about Linux, is you don't have to go and find it and you know, some of the stuff you can pull from Git and the repository. So some of the things that you need to know is because when using encryption, encryption requires a key. Think of it like a lock, right? If we put something in the box and lock it, we have to unlock it by using a key. But in order to lock it, we also have to have a key, right? Just like your home. When you lock the door, you have to use a key. When you need to access the door, you have to use a key. And in our case, it's a different key. So the next step shows you on how to obtain a key. There are many ways to access keys. You can also, you know, run a command to look at the key ring, which is a system that generates key. So here, this command right here allows you to get a signing key. And when you do that, let me see, for some reason I can't get access to my, let me see if I can paste it here. All right, I'll just type it out. So this is a little long. Okay, so you are going to use a GPG dash dash. Make sure we do a double dash, auto dash key dash locate node fault WKD locate keys Tor browser at torproject.org. Let me see. Oh, I'm missing a dash. Sorry. Okay. So what that does is looking for the key for the Tor browser, but we don't have that yet, right? We are going to put the Tor browser on our system because Kali doesn't always have everything that you need. So now, once you locate the key, you need to pull the key for your key ring and then save it. Okay. And so we are going to do a GPG dash dash output. What is it? Dot slash tor dot keyring export. And then that's a 0 X in all caps EF 6 E28 6 DDA 85 EA 2A 4B. I gotta track my characters. A7D E 68 4E 2C 6E 8793 82 Okay, so once you have that, we are gonna, you know what that long number is? It's just a memory location. Okay, whenever you see a 0x in the front, that's a memory address. So what we're doing is we're setting up a memory location where we're gonna put our key. Okay, then we are gonna do an update again. Sudo app update. And then we're gonna do sudo install Tor browser launcher. Oh. Hold on one second. It's saying it can't find Tor.
Yeah.
Cannot start Tor. Let me troubleshoot this real quick. Okay, I'm missing an app right here. So that needs to go be sudo app install Tor browser launcher. Okay, you need to put the app right there. Microsoft Word's not letting me edit until I validate my. So it should be sudo app install Tor browser launcher. Okay.
There you go. There we go.
And then you are gonna click yes to go. So sudo apt install Tor browser launcher. Okay. All right. Then you're gonna make a user, and we are gonna assign that user privilege to use that app, right? So we want to learn how to do this in Linux. So we're gonna do a sudo app user, one word, -- home. That's gonna be their directory. Home Tor user, that's the name. Okay. Tor user. Yeah. So it tells me that I can add it to the user group and so on. And oh, did it not go? Tor user. It says trouser. Microsoft Word changed it. Okay, let's see. It says trouser on my document. Let me see. Add the user to the system, add the user group. Hold on, it's not letting me add. Unknown option. Thought I fixed this earlier. From home. User. Yeah, I gotta add the space. For user again. Yeah. So make sure you have the space after the -- home, or Linux is a little finicky with terminal sometimes. Yeah. So case sensitive and white space. So we're gonna put in the password. So when you use that, don't put trouser. I'm sorry, Microsoft Word autocorrect that. So you should have sudo add user -- home space /home Tor user. Okay. Then it's gonna ask you for the password. I just use onion. Or leaving it blank, like Moses says. And then the full name, you can just make up a name, or I'm just gonna put Tor user. And then just press enter, and then yes. Okay, you don't have to fill out the rest of the field. You just gotta give it a full name. Question? Okay, so for the add user, make sure we have the space after the -- home or before the slash, or it's not gonna like it. So it should be Tor user, not Tor user trouser. Tor user use Tor user. And then once it takes it, it's gonna ask you for a password. Put in the password like onion, and then give it a name like Tor user, and then press enter. to skip the rest of the field and then press yes to create it. Okay, and so now we have a new user for Tor. So that means that you should not use the root account to access Tor, because even if it's encrypted, the things that you will see and the things that you access can cause damage down the line, right? So we want to use a control user. Then what we're gonna do is we are gonna give it the access now. So you're gonna do a sudo xhost si. Okay, oops. So we are gonna do a sudo xhost si colon local user. And I'm sorry again, it's trouser again. It's Tor user. It's Tor user. Okay, sorry. Software always autocorrect me. Okay, so that means that we are going to make that user a local user, and then we are going to give it the access to the browser. So you can assign specific application to a certain user, and this is how you do it. So you would do a sudo -u Tor user, which is a username, and then dash capital H, okay, Tor browser launcher. And I'm at step 23 after the xhost. So what it's gonna do now, it's gonna download everything, and you should see the onion in the back as the or the browser in the back. It's gonna take a few minutes. And then it's gonna go through and it's gonna ask you if you want to connect, and if you click connect, it's gonna establish connection. So that point on, that means that you can use that browser, like compared to Firefox or whatever, right? You should be able to, you can visit regular HTTP site, but the purpose of it is to visit the onion site. Okay, yeah, it's gonna download and it's gonna ask you to establish connection. And on your network, if it's not blocked, because sometimes on some network, they set it to block these type of traffic, encrypted traffic, but you know, in general, you should be fine. Okay. So I'll fix some of the typo on this after class. So this is Tor user, not trouser. And then you should see like a purple button, right? Because that's the logo for the Tor.
Yes.
After it's done, and you're gonna click connect. So after you establish the connection, you just need to do a screenshot for me, and you can paste it onto the existing document or another document so you can submit your lab. Okay. After that, you're gonna use a la carte. And what a la carte does is it lets you customize what kind of things you want to add to your menu. Very much like the name, right? Like how you would go to a restaurant, you order a la carte, you can pick and choose what you want. So you can use that to put it on your application menu. So what I did was I added the steps on how to do that. So in the future, when you're using Tally to run tools, you found a tool that you like, but it's not on your application menu, you can add it through using a la carte and the command. Okay, so (23), nothing is wrong with 23. You just do a sudo -u Tor user capital H Tor browser launcher. So once you do that, it's gonna download the packages and it's gonna try to install. Okay. Any questions? That's your typo. Usually that's the case. I'll be right there.
What's it called? Honestly, you should use Tor unless you're spinning up a VM. Oh, there we go. I got to work. It was the list, though. Okay.
Okay. So if you, once you're done, you should see what you see on my screen.
You know, I had Tor on it's pretty cool. Look, I got on the iPhone. I'm clicking Tor Browser on there. It is, but it's all 130. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's not the official. I just want the official. No, it's no. There we go. So now I just did this way for our what? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Tor user, not browser, you guys. Sorry, my typo. Tor user. Use it again. Do it again. We do this step with Tor user. Tor user.
Tor user stuff that doesn't work. Huh? You didn't know that? Okay.
Yeah, because what happens is added browser. Yeah, you
Wanna
gotta.
see my website anymore?
So, it's not logical, right? You have to think about, oh, what user you created, that's what you
It's
can
a,
get. You can't make it browser. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so that's the way you do it.
So they
If
can take
it's
it down.
browser, then it's browser, right? Make a new user, whatever name you wanted, and you assign that user. You can make as many users you want. You can make 10.
It would be under pseudo admin, right?
Yeah. Just replace the username, and then, but before that, remember we set up the path for that user with the home. So make sure that you set that up too. So if you modify your user somehow, like you started with browser and you changed to Tor user, it's not gonna like it. So keep the same user. That's my point. Okay. So.
Yep.
You don't like that username, then make another user. Click connect. And this is gonna take a few minutes for it to load the network settings. Okay, and in the case where you get blocked, it's gonna not finish or it's gonna boot you out. But normally this should be fine because it's encrypted and a lot of the times it goes under radar. So you should be able to connect, and so that's what you would see. That's the browser, right? So it is a Chromium version. They took Chromium and they modify it. Okay. My cousin, he's a Java developer. He worked on search engine and stuff for Tor before he got laid off in San Francisco. But he wrote libraries for search engines for crawlers, right? So he worked on these type of projects. So here is where so now Open Sesame, right? This is where so how do you find the onion site? Go to subreddit and look at some of the stuff. The people post stuff on there, like different sites, right? That you can access. Now, access as your own measure, okay? Because it's encrypted, but it doesn't mean that it's not malware free. So just be careful on what you use. So now you have your browser. You can find a website that you want to go to. Usually it would have a .onion, like how you have a .html on the regular website. It will have a .onion. Okay.
Which one you want to go on?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they don't register through your regular website registration. It's a different network. So they go through a process to register their site as an one. So those, you will see those like, unlike like, you know, you would have www.http, it would just have a long string like HTTPS459, whatever, slash, an extension, and then .onion. That's how it is. But you can use it to access regular URLs, and then if once you're there, you can move on to the next step.
Wait, I thought this was running.
You can do the a la carte.
This is running on what's it called, right? Debian.
Oh,
Oh my
so
God.
after
This is running
always do the
Debian. Except that's the worst. Oh my God.
Okay. So once you have the connect button, click connect, and it takes us 2 minutes to go. You're okay?
Okay.
What happened? All the browser.
Not good. I didn't do the thing that I'm supposed to do here. Are you supposed to do this? Visual apps? Yeah.
So, you did
Internet?
install Tor Browser launcher?
Then hit do. Tor Browser and then I understand. I know what it means.
You should have a window in the back. We close it, and open terminal.
Launch in terminal? What's that? Okay.
Do your password again. If you can't enter your password, and
Yes. You know what's funny? Did you start the exam? Yeah. It's kind of the same as last year. All of it is the same part. I should start linking stuff so like I'll have it ready for because I forgot there was like a site that I used. I just put like the for decryption. So I just put in the encryption and it'll automatically run it out. Cipher it used.
okay, so let's talk about a la carte. So once you have this, right, you can close the browser if you want. You can leave it open, whatever you want. So we are gonna do the a la carte installation so that way you can customize your menu. So we're gonna do a sudo app install a la carte. Kelly. Then we'll press yes. My laptop has 32 gig of RAM like your desktop. So, and it's running 11th generation i7. So it's real. I love it. I got a good deal on it. I bought it for like $1,100. It's equivalent to the Alienware that's like $7,000. And it, but you know, needed a little bit of updates on the firmware at the beginning. All right. So once we have the a la carte going, you're gonna open up a la carte. Okay, so what that does is it's gonna open up your menu, and then you're gonna click use your application, internet, and then new item. And what you're gonna do is you are gonna put in Tor Browser. So what I'm right here. Okay. So you type in Tor Browser, and the command, you need to put in this command. Okay. So what that does is whenever you run the application, it's going to issue that command to open up your actual Tor browser launcher. Okay. So sudo -u Tor. And if you're using the user browser, put in that username. Using Tally, put in the username. Does that make sense? So whatever username that you created, you have to put in that username. So that way it runs the application as that user. And then click OK. So now you see how it shows up here. Once you do that, it adds it to the menu, and that's how you use it. You're using a third-party app to add Tally. So that's how they added some of these tools that doesn't come with the OS, right? So we can do an a la carte, and then we add that to our menu. So now you see it on my system. It's Tor Browser, right? And then if I click on that, it automatically links to that user account that we created, and we assign the access for that application. See? Even though we're logged on as Tally. So you can type in the command inside it, inside when you set it up. Okay, so we are going to use an extension of Tor, which is torghost. And it took me a couple of days to work through this particular library. It was a lot of issues, right? Like if you read online, even when you go to their documentation, right, they update it frequently. So this is a tool that allows you to run a script, okay? So Tor connects, so your regular browser connects HTTP, it does a get, and it's gonna get reply. Your Tor browser, it connects via sock 5. That's a different socket. So a socket is an abstraction of how a system communicates with another system, how it can exchange port information and protocol. So here, what we can do is we can create, right? We can set up where it's going to funnel through certain areas. So proxies are systems that can be used to filter or pass traffic. It can delegate certain type of traffic. So what this does is whenever that you visit like an Onion site or any site, it's going to submit the DNS request, and it's going to route it. It's going to funnel everything through Tor. So your traffic is encrypted. Okay. And that prevents a DNS leak. So when you have a DNS attack, and we talked about this already, right? Somebody can scan your traffic, and if they could capture your traffic, they can capture your packets that has records information. And we are going to do some DNS enumeration. You saw some of this in the previous lab. So when you use this, you can use it to prevent your identity from leaking. Okay. So the torghost, what do we use it for? Okay. So I put down some of the things that they highlighted. You can direct all your network traffic to the Tor network. Okay. You can make it where it's no ping. Why don't I want people to ping me? Because if people ping me, they know that my system respond, and they can DOS me, right? So I want to also force all the applications through a proxy chain, through a certain set of systems. I can also allow or reject. So I can filter based on using torghost. Now, listen, okay? The stop and the switch here does not, it's currently not working. Like I have tried for 2 days. So they modify something on the script with the new Python. So we have to run a script every time that we issue the command. The developer, they've been working on this, so they are fixing it because the original install file, it doesn't exist anymore. They changed it to a build file and it uses a C library. So I have to like really dig through and fix this problem for you guys. So ideally, when things work, you can just do torghost start and it's gonna activate. And then when you want it to stop, you just say torghost stop, right? But right now, as the library as it is, it doesn't work that way. So we're gonna have to do a few steps to fix this problem. Okay. So next, we are gonna install all. We are gonna fix some of the things by looking at the essentials. So you're gonna do a sudo apt install build essential check install, and then password, and then yes. So what we're doing is we're looking at the requirement to do the installation for this application, okay? Which is a tool that we're gonna use. And sorry, this is a little long, but we have to pull some of the library. So next we're gonna do step 34, sudo, do an app install for me. Lib readline gplv2 dev libncurse is w5 dev, right? Those are development library packages. And then we're gonna do an SSL one because all of these browser-based things use SSL. So lib SSL, continue, not the next line, right? Dev / space lib SQLite 3 dev tk dev libgd bm dev. Oh, so many. libc6 dev libbz2 dev lib ffi dev zlib1g. Oh, I need to fix my SQLite. SQLite SQL. Libs SQL.
Originally, it had the bedrock one, but it ended support one Microsoft required. I think that's pretty dumb.
With red line gplv2.
I made a Python script that would
Let me see. Okay. Huh? zlib1b zlib1gb dev. Yeah, I don't think we need that one. Let me see. Yeah, it's throwing you the error. Let's see if we can just clone it without having to do all of those. I think when I just want to make sure those libraries, they actually came with the Python packages, and I was trying to troubleshoot it earlier. I don't think that we need that. So let's do 35, and not worry about 34. So do a git clone, https github .com, Sue Smith, HCK torghost. .git. Is it making you log in like me? Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Let me double check the link. It should let you though. Maybe we have to use the Sue Smith Christian like that. That will be the link that we need. Let me try it again. Yeah, he changed. See?
Oh, you changed it, all right? You didn't.
Yeah. So use this. Look. This right here. Okay, use his full name. Make sure that it's GitHub, but otherwise you know, it's not gonna find it. So Sue Smith Christian. And then /torghost.git. So once you clone it, you would have a folder called torghost, and we're gonna access that folder to change the permission on it. And then after that, we just follow the step also on the website, cd torghost. So we are inside the folder now, and then you are gonna do a chmod, okay, +x build.sh. So the prior version uses install.sh. They changed this up to the build, okay. And then after that, you would do a .build. That's how you run the build shell script. So the .sh is a shell script, okay. Yeah, it's gonna, that's okay. That's fine. It builds mostly except for that part. That's okay. So as you can see, that's the GitHub repository, right? That's what the instruction for the developers, that's what he said. So when you build it, when you get to the end, the .h, the python.h is a header file that is a C base. It came from the C library, right? So what it does is it has to take the program which was written in C and translate it, which is not effective. So that's okay. That just means that the commands that they have written is not going to work. And I told you that at the beginning already. So when you want to use the command, you just have to run the Python file with the command. You have to run the script with it, because it won't be able to build the script every time for that command on its own. So I just did this step, which is what is our next step. Yeah, it's gonna say that the .h file failed, so it didn't finish the build. That's normal. Okay, right now that's where we're at, because that's how the library, that's where until they fix it, right? A month from now you might see a fully working one. So, and it frequently changed, because 2 days ago when I looked, it was still like this, like they didn't cross this out, and now they crossed it out. So, you know, all right, let's talk about, so we did this part already. So now we are gonna install, right? So I have to use my little Python trinket. So we are gonna install a module that's gonna be used inside. Anytime that you write script for socket and connection, you use a library called request. So we're gonna do a pip3 install request. So that means that we are going to install a Python library called request. Okay. And I covered this in length for my 30C class. They use this library. Then we are going to run the script called torghost. And anytime you run anything in Python, you use Python command. Python 3 is the version, right? So sudo Python 3. Where am I at? I'm at step 40. Torghost .py -- start. And then capital T torghost. Boom, it started. See, we can work around the failed build, right? So what it's gonna do is gonna give you the public IP of the node that you connect to. Remember the diagram we saw at the beginning, right? That's gonna be the entry node or the node that the relays that you connect directly to. Now, this can change from time to time if you want it to change. What if I don't like that IP address, that public IP? I want to use a different node. So what you can do is, skip 41. You don't need to install Network Manager, but you can use Network Manager to delegate stuff. So don't have to do 21, okay? I mean 41. So we are gonna do 43 next. Sudo Python 3 torghost .py. We're gonna run that script again, and we are gonna do a switch. That means that it's gonna switch connection. It's gonna stop the current connection, and it's gonna connect to a different relay, a randomly given relay. So we are gonna do a switch, and then capital Tor ghost. So you're gonna wait. So what it does is it's gonna stop the prior connection, right? So I want you to also screen capture and put down your IP address. This current IP address is the answer for 40. And then take a screen capture. You can do snip or, alt print screen, whatever, and then paste it into the document. So after I had given up my old IP, my public IP, now I'm gonna get a different IP, you see? So this is not really truly the actual, because a lot of this is just the IP of the relay, okay? Now, once you have this information, you take a screen capture, you put down your current IP, skip 41 and 42, okay? You're gonna run 43, put down the new IP that it gives you, and then it should be different, because when you switch and start again, it stop and start again, it switch, it's a different IP. Then you're gonna open up Firefox inside your machine, okay? And you're going to use a web interface to find your IP. So on the URL, you're gonna visit what is my IP.com. And here it shows you your IP. See if that is matching. Oh gosh. Just cookies. All right. So when you visit the site, it's going to automatically find your IP address. Is that matching with what you had right in your terminal? Okay. Firefox is next to your terminal at the top. Moses. So I have a 101.33. I can check my torghost. It's matching, right? Because that's what everybody sees me as. So the whole world see you as that public IP right now. Okay, that's your public IP. And that's different than your private IP. All right. Any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna stop it. So you can up arrow key and then change the switch to a stop. And that's how you terminate that connection, that socket. Okay. So see how it flushes and it's trying to give you another one because your connection is still alive, right? As you have your browser and your Tor service is going. Okay. So that's how you use torghost. Okay. Any question? All right, let's do searchsploit. Okay, there's many different exploiting tools. Okay, this comes equipped in Kali Linux. On the menu, you can find searchsploit by using the path that I put there, but we are going to use the terminal because that's our best friend. So we are going to do searchsploit. Exploit index name. So this is a way that you can search for database that have been archived with exploit. There are many different exploit kits that are birthed every day. Okay, they track this internationally, and so some kits are more advanced than others. So if you are interested, you can always go to anti-malware company. A lot of the companies, they do research in this, and so they will give you the details on the exploited kits that are released. Most of them are released through the dark web, right? You don't have, and then some of them are released through the Git process. So this is what you see, right? So what we're doing is we are searching and see how these are the text files, okay? And that's how it's so there's a bunch of Microsoft ones and so on. So now we're gonna look for exploit that's specific to Windows. So we're gonna do a searchsploit. You're gonna thank me one day that you have known all of these tools because you don't have to go and looking around for a long time. And then we're gonna do a Windows, okay? So these are all specifically to Windows. If you want Linux, you search for Linux. If you want Unix, you search for Unix. If you want Mac OS, you search for Mac OS. Okay? Capiche? Take a screen capture. So for Windows, you notice that that's the x86. That just represents the architecture for Microsoft. So, and there are different things like executables and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And if you know you want to learn how to use it, you have to research it, right, before you launch it. Okay. Let's talk about DNS tool. All web servers are connected to a system called the domain name service. This translates URL to IP and vice versa. So you saw this one already. You did the dnsenum last time when we used Kali, but I'm going to revisit it again. So we can do enumeration for the DNS for a certain site. And if they block it, you're going to see. Okay. So dnsenum and then the URL. Microsoft is probably tracking all of this and like it's coming from one single area all at once. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're getting records of the DNS. And the A record, its job is to maintain the association between the IP address and the domain name. Okay, the quadruple A records is for the IP version 6 address with the domain name. So why do we care about this? As a pen tester or as a security professional, you have to see if your server records are exposed. And for attacker, they look for records to make poison on the record. Okay. All right, we are going to use another tool called dnsmap. This does not come with your Cali. Okay, so I put a bunch of information here for you. This is good. Why do we need a DNS map? It's really meant to give you information about the infrastructure, the overall, all the systems of that domain. You can also find remote access servers this way. And when you do blind testing, what that means is you don't know anything about the network and you have to find your way in. Okay? You can also use that information so you can brute force your way into certain areas of the network and so on. Okay, and when you're on a time crunch, like let's say that they want you to do things in 2 days, you have to have these tools ready in order to do that. Okay, ethical hacking class touches on some of this, but I wanted to share with you the introduction to it so that way you know, and it's important to understand some of the tools that you use. So we are going to use the DNS map. So you do DNS map and then a specific site. Now it says that it's not installed. So we are going to go ahead and click yes to install and it's going to pull it for us. I love Linux for the fact that it does that. And then we're going to repeat the command again, up arrow key. So what you see here, it's overlaying the application on top of your thing. So it's telling you that you can do searches, you can do other things. It is a way to map the network, right? So you can just put down your end. Yeah. So it says what type of information and so it can give you the subdomain that will be in the word list. And sometimes it takes a little bit to generate that. So there are two things that's going to give you: the subdomains and the requests. So put that there. I cannot edit my document because I need to activate my license on this. Okay, when you're done with that, click the X, right? And then we can also close Firefox there. Okay. And then if you want, you can reopen another terminal, that's fine. Then we are going to do a DNS tracer. So the DNS tracer, its job is to find the host name, which is your server name that will be assigned to a certain domain like Microsoft.com. So we are going to do a DNS tracer. And of course, we want to install, so press yes, because it's not there yet, and then your password. And so once that's done, we are going to up arrow key to repeat our command again, and then press enter. So what this does is it's tracing that domain, that URL that you give it, through the path, which is your local network, the 10.10.50, that's RCCD network. It generates 3 requests. And so it asks you how many tries did it generate. It tells you the maximum try it did was 3, right? And did it receive any answer? Yes, it did. It got the CNAME record. And CNAME record is one of the records that many companies forget to protect. Okay. Okay. So put down the answer that you see there for step 55. We're almost done. All right. Last thing we're going to touch on, you don't have to do the highlighted area, because when I wrote this, I thought it would be fun for you to do your Instagram account, but you don't. If you decide that you don't have an Instagram account, I don't, right? Then you don't need to do that, right? But most companies would have their own Instagram account for marketing purposes. So what you can do is you can use that tool to kind of find out more information about a certain Instagram account. Okay. All right. So we are going to do the load balancer detector. That's going to be our last step. So here I give you some information. If you read Cali, tutorial, it's like one small section and that's it, but you have to dig a little deeper. So your LBD is your load balance the detector. This is a way that we can detect all the load balancer that belongs to a certain network. It's a way that we can find servers. So in the case where if I'm an attacker, I'm going to find those to exploit. But if you're a protector, you need to find them too, so you can protect them because they could be exploited. Okay. So it is a device, a load balancer is a device that is used. It acts as a proxy. So think of it this way, right? Like you would go to a center, and at that center they're going to distribute things to you. So the way the traffic works is it can be passed to a system, and that system will distribute the packets to different part of the network. It's a quicker way for them to generate for things to be ran on the network, like applications and such. So load balancers are used to increase the capacity. So when I have 500 user to 5,000 user, I just need to add load balancer, which are appliances or systems, to be able to handle all the traffic. So think of it like when at home, in order to go to work, you have to go on the freeway. And currently the freeway is only 3 lanes, right? But let's say that if we have 10,000 more people that live in our town, we have to expand that freeway. And that's what the load balancer does. It's just additional lanes for those cars, for additional cars to travel on, for more traffic to go through. So in order to scale out, most companies will add a load balancer to be able to pick up the traffic and then pass it forward and quickly, right? So what you can do is you can find a certain load balancer for a certain network by using their IP address or their domain name. So you will do an LBD. Okay. Yeah, it should go. So it's listing. See, some companies have thousands. So cloud companies, you're gonna see a lot of them. Okay, like AWS, Google, and things like that. Sometimes they shield them too, right? So you can also, seek out some of these things, because sometimes if the load balancers is not protected, we want to see what's vulnerable about it. So what you're doing right now is that's the first stage in any form of hacking, whether it's ethical or unethical, is to find information about something, some system, or someone, right? And the more homework that we do, the faster it's going to be later on once we get in. But if you don't do your homework, when you get to a certain step, I can be 5 steps ahead and then all back at the beginning again. And that's how it works. Because when you get to a certain block and you can't go forward, if you don't have the information, then you can't. So if you have the tools, you can move forward, find more information, and then find another door, another way to get in. Okay. I actually, in my class tonight, we're gonna look at ways to place backdoor on things, right, through some of the tools, but through scripting and application. So the highlighted stuff, if you like to do that, you have to use your account, and I put down the information on how to add your account. Okay. All right. Make sure that we have your questions, your answer for the lab, the screen capture on one document, save it, access Canvas, upload it, submit that as a lab, but you have until Sunday. It's open, it's due on Sunday, right? So when I'm done, I just simply do a shutdown now. And then shut off my machine. Make sure that I save all my work, remove the USB and return it. And you still have about 15 minutes. So I was worried I couldn't finish this lab. Okay, let me stop recording.